A very good afternoon. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Vadva. We have a whole lot lined up for you, including Prime Minister Modi, who is going to be meeting with Mauritius President Dharam Gokhool. Prime Minister Modi landed in Mauritius this morning to a grand and warm welcome by the Prime Minister of Mauritius, Navinchandra Ramgoolam, at the airport. The Prime Minister, along with the Prime Minister, planted a bale tree at the SSR Botanical Garden as part of the Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam initiative, and deeply touched by the warm welcome from the Indian community in Mauritius. Their strong connection to the heritage, culture and values of India is truly inspiring, is what Prime Minister Modi had to say. This bond of history and heart continues to thrive across generations. We have my colleague Ghazali joining us from Mauritius. Ghazali, take us through, from a really warm welcome to planting that tree, the bale tree in Mauritius, to, the National Day celebrations which will be held tomorrow. Take us through what holds on the agenda.
See, from the touchdown, the moment he landed and being received by the Prime Minister of Mauritius himself along with 200 dignitaries, itself signifies the relevance of this particular visit of Prime Minister, which is happening after a decade. Last time when he visited here in 2015, nobody had thought that India-Mauritius ties would grow stronger every year. And in the last one decade, there have been multiple collaborations as far as business ties are concerned. You have economic ties with Mauritius. You also have cultural exchange with Mauritius. And particularly in this particular visit, Prime Minister Modi and our team of External Affairs Minister and other dignitaries who have traveled all the way from India to Mauritius will review the ongoing ties, and then new avenues will be explored between India and Mauritius. But the focus of this entire visit will certainly be the maritime security and trade. It's basically because Mauritius is strategic location, being in the Indian Ocean region, is something which is of huge significance for India. Prime Minister had envisioned in 2015 when he was here in Mauritius about the Sagar policy, the security and growth of all in the region. That also shows the kind of relevance we give Mauritius as our neighbor and a very key strategic partner in the Indian Ocean region. As far as bilateral ties are concerned, last year our President Draupadi Murmu was the chief guest on the National Day, for which the Prime Minister is visiting here. Tomorrow is the National Day for which Prime Minister has been invited by the Prime Minister of Mauritius. As far as today's itinerary is concerned, today morning when he arrived at the hotel, Prime Minister was warmly received by the Indian diaspora, who was keenly waiting there for hours since morning. After that, Prime Minister visited here the Botanical Garden, which also has the mortal sites of two visionary leaders of Mauritius. One, the founding father of Mauritius, Mr. Seewoosagur Ramgoolam, the father of the current Prime Minister as well, and also his contemporary and ex-president of Mauritius. So Prime Minister laid wreath to those burial sites here. He paid obeisance there, and then he also planted a sapling. After that, he has now gone to meet the President of Mauritius for an official meet. After that, he is expected to address Indian community at the convention center here, after which today's engagement will end with the dinner hosted by Prime Minister of Mauritius. So in particular, if you see, a lot of MOUs are going to be signed between India and Mauritius. One about the maritime security, that how both the countries will share data with each other, which will not only strengthen the cooperation between the two countries, but it will also help Mauritius to strengthen its own maritime presence in the Indian Ocean region. Besides that, there is another very key MOU from India's point of view, is between Enforcement Directorate of India and the Financial Crime Prevention Unit of Mauritius, which will look after how to check the financial frauds happening, how to also check the kind of reports we gathered that how people, after committing financial frauds, escape India and then land into these island nations. So that will be one key MOU. But the focus will be on the MOUs related to maritime security between Indian Navy, Mauritian Navy, and their counterpart in India. Other MOUs are related to the financial division, where we will have the Bank of Mauritius having an MOU with Indian government. Also, there is another MOU which will talk about whether India and Mauritius can trade in local currency. That is also going to be discussed in this meeting. We know that why the maritime security or the maritime trade is going to be very relevant, because we know how our neighbor China is also growing its influence in the Indian Ocean region. We have seen regime change and governments change in three countries like Mauritius, like Maldives. We also had the same in Bangladesh, then we had in Sri Lanka. And in all these countries, China have huge investments. In Mauritius, the current Prime Minister, Mr. Navinchandra Ramgoolam, was elected last year. He came to power last year in November, and it's hugely significant for India that Indian Prime Minister is engaging with his Mauritian counterpart in the initial days of him coming to power in Mauritius, because that is when all the policies are designed. That is when everything is in the initial stage, because the Mauritian government itself is reviewing all the most of the decisions of the previous government. So at this point of time, this meeting assumes huge significance, and we are expecting that perhaps with this visit, the ties between the two countries will only grow stronger.